This week we're going to be discussing the aspects of deity, and I know that you're chomping at the bit thinking, well, when are we going to get to the myths of the different cultures? And we're going to start that next week with Egypt. Now, my interest in myth, as I've explained elsewhere, goes back for a long, long time, to at least first or second grade. And my mother used to buy groceries at a store called Purity Grocery Store in Arcata, California. And the store was offering encyclopedias, a volume a week. And so my mother would go in to shop each week, and she would get a volume, and it was volume 7 that had an article about the Greek myths that captured and kept my attention and my interest that has only grown over the years. But on to aspects of deities. This week we are going to see a PowerPoint on goddesses. And I really stress the goddesses, not just because I am a goddess in it. Okay, never mind about that. I stress the goddesses because in the modern world, the feminine divine is very often overlooked. There are modern pagans who look to the goddess, but in the modern world, there are many more monotheists who refer to God as a he, even though monotheists often say that their God is sexless, it has no gender. That pronoun he says something. There are also other types of paganism that exist in the world that have been around for a long time that continue on into the modern era, and of course Hinduism is one of those. Now, these PowerPoints that you're going to see this week about the aspects of deity set the stage for what is to come. Because if you've been paying any attention at all, you know that an emphasis of this class is those archetypal images and the commonalities in the myths. And so the things that we look at this week in respect to goddesses and gods, we will be looking at those aspects and just about all of the mythoi that we are going to examine. Now, I want to clarify some terms here. Mythos is the body of myth of a particular culture. Mythoi is then plural and refers to bodies of myth from various cultures. And so you need to have that vocabulary in order to understand what it is that I'm going to be talking about. So again, you're going to see a PowerPoint on goddesses or the feminine divine. And again, okay, I'm repeating myself. I'm going to stop it. And in this, you are going to read about the Magna Maters or the Great Mothers. Robert Graves says that the Magna Maters were the driving force in religion in Paleolithic and Neolithic and even societies that came after that. And again, in the modern world, we tend to overlook the feminine divine for various reasons. When you see this PowerPoint, keep in mind some of the things that I want you to remember. And one of those things is that goddesses, early goddesses in early cultures, were very often associated with the underworld. It was women who brought you into life, and it was women who brought you out. And quite often, goddesses were the deities of those underworlds in Sumeria and Norse and in other cultures as well. Goddesses are most often connected with the moon and the symbols of the moon. And I don't know if you have noticed my tattoos on my hands, but that is symbolic of the feminine divine. But this is not an absolute. In some cultures, the moon is represented by males, and we see this in Sumerian myth where Nana is the moon god, and we also see it in Norse myth where the moon is represented by the male and the sun is represented by a female deity. But this is not the norm. These are the exceptions. Also, and this is related to the underworld being related with goddesses, the body of the earth is very often the actual body of a goddess. Gaia is one in Greece. However, again, this is not an absolute and there are exceptions. And you will see in Egyptian myth that the body of the earth is Geb, a male god, and the sky is his wife, Nut. Now, however, Nut is not a sun goddess. She is merely the sky, and there is a differentiation between there. When many Western societies segued into monotheistic religions, again, that deity was very often referred to as he and the Father. And this reflects, some historians say, a segue from matriarchals or matrifocal, where the attention was on women or was ruled by women, to a patriarchy. And I think that we see that in many ways. Now, in addition to the PowerPoint on goddesses, there is one on gods. And you will see the evolution then of male deities. Now, male deities are most often connected with the sun. And again, that's not an absolute. And because they are connected with the sun, which is symbolic of enlightenment and actual physical life, male gods are more often associated with logic and reason, where female gods are most often associated with dark and chaos. You will see horned gods, the motif of horned gods. And there are horned female gods. Usually, though, female goddesses who have horns have cow horns, because that is related to the maternal. And more often you will see male gods with antlers representing the primal wild, or in the case of Pan, will have goat horns. Male gods are most often associated with thunder and lightning, and of course you see that in the Greek with Zeus, and you also see that in the Norse with both Odin and Thor. And we still talk about, if I'm not telling the truth, may God strike me dead with a thunderbolt. So those images still carry over. Gods are also most often associated with mountains. Now, when I say most often, I don't mean that every god is a thunder god or every god is a mountain or volcano god, but that you don't usually see goddesses associated with those physical images and so on. So, get ready to wrap up this week about the prelude to what is coming, and get ready for Egypt next week.